Hello everyone, finally, we have the third part of the video about how we apply decorative plaster on the volume. In the first video we plastered the walls, in the second we putty them. And in the third, today, we apply decorative plaster in volume. This is Caravaggio under the concrete. Such a loft Caravaggio, we look. Do not forget to subscribe and like. Apply the first layer of tinted Caravaggio. Before talking about the application, I will say that we painted the walls beforehand, that is, in the last series we putty, and after the putty had dried, we sanded and painted it. We did not shoot the painting process itself because everyone knows how to do it. By the way, the material Caravaggio is the Effectum trademark. This is the material with which we are working now. We deliberately painted the walls white so that you can see how the decorative plaster is applied. Now we apply its first layer. Apply it together for speed. The first layer is not a drawing, it is not a texture, it is just that we set a background to the wall and cover up some minor defects. We have Caravaggio tinted in gray. We apply it thinly, like a putty, using a trowel or a spatula. We put a small spatula on a large one and spread it on the wall with a thin layer without any sags, transitions, dripping drops, a thin background layer. Now can you see it now, that the walls are white and gray by Caravaggio? They did it on purpose, although by default the paint is tinted in the same color as the plaster. If the plaster is gray, then the paint should also be gray. No need to tell in detail how the putty is smeared on the wall. Also, decorative plaster is applied with a thin layer. You can do this together, that is, one person applies it on the tops, the other on the bottom. As we are now for speed, because time goes by and together it is much faster, especially since the first layer does not affect the drawing in any way, it is simply applied. There are also people who apply these decorative plasters, like silk, Caravaggio, sand, velvet. They are applied without painting the walls directly to the putty, but there is a manufacturer's recommendation. The wall must be painted. This is the manufacturer's recommendation, the application recommendation. Therefore it is recommended to paint and tint the paint in the color of the material, and the absorbency of the putty is completely different. That is, if your wall is painted, then your consumption of the decorative plaster itself will be less, and if, for example, the wall is putty and we apply it, then the consumption will be higher for the decorative plaster. Without painting the walls, you will not save, but if only your time, but not money for sure. In corners where hard-to-reach places are applied, either with a small spatula or whatever is convenient, a trowel, a large spatula, a small spatula. This is how we apply thinly, trying not to leave voids. This video has been stretched. We haven't done half of the wall yet, but how many minutes have passed? We are not cutting out any parts, so that you understand that this is not all that fast. This is not a matter of 2 minutes. This is work, one person, a second person, time goes on, work goes, that is difficult enough. I would say not so much difficult as it is voluminous, painstaking. So we need to apply the entire room from corner to corner, how to say, from the corner where we started and return to it, on the way you come across fasteners. A horizontal bar hangs here and they did not remove the fasteners. We go around them like this, as it is convenient. It is not very convenient when there are parts on the wall, such as a tumble dryer, fasteners that are firmly mounted like that. With small spatulas, big we go around everything, also around the battery. Small spatulas, very small spatulas, somewhere even in general, a spatula does not crawl. It generally happens that a battery and a windowsill, and there is a very small distance between them. There is even sometimes we apply with a brush just to create a background, because nothing can be crawled there. Here's what I also want to say, we will also apply decorative plaster to the ceiling. You can do this through masking tape, that is, stick the masking tape on the ceiling and apply plaster on the wall, on this curb, on this corner, or by hand. It's all very long too. draw. In this case, we did it by hand. Now there will be a fragment a little further away. You will see that it is applied all this by hand because the Scotch tape is not good in all cases. Honestly, Scotch tape helps to make straight lines when the corners are perfectly even. When the wall and corners were plastered perfectly. Do you see this? The first layer and the upper corners are applied, the walls are applied. This is the first layer. Somewhere in some places the putty still shines through and this can be seen. After it dries, we already proceed to the second layer. If we talk about time, then in this case we made it in 2 hours the first layer, and then in the evening we applied the second layer. The second layer has already begun. It is applied in the same way as the first. Only one person already applies it. Applies and forms the pattern because each hand is different in these movements. If you do the texture together, it will be very clear that these are two different people were applied. Therefore, Roman is now applying alone. Well, I also put my hand, I did it up. These are just the corners. I made the wall where the battery is and the window, because it's not a royal thing to climb near the battery. It takes a long time to put these walls behind the pipes. It seems to me that they even take more time than all these big large walls. Straight walls without obstacles are always easier to apply than all these little things. With the help of a trowel, in this case, we apply plaster to the trowel, apply a layer of about 1 millimeter, a thin one, and immediately, while damp, we form a pattern crosswise, up and down, see how we apply? And we shape up and down, and put it in a checkerboard pattern. Now, if the camera moves further away, we will see that we have applied such a checkerboard pattern. One section was made on the right, then the next on the left, then down, that is, so that it would not be applied in stripes. You do not apply a strip on the wall from top to bottom, then another adjacent strip. See where it is damp? You see this is where it is damply applied. This is the checkerboard order. If you apply from top to bottom in stripes, then you will see it the material will begin to dry out and there will be such a pearlescent overlap and it will be visible. These stripes, where the overlap of the material goes, will be dark, so observe the checkerboard order. In today's video, we apply 3 monophonic walls. Caravaggio is solid in the loft style. Let's call it so. Cross like such intersecting movements, horizontal, vertical. And in the next series we will already apply the opposite wall to this one, and there will be jointing on it. This will be the final series, and you will see that we apply plaster on the wall the same way as on the tablet. Just the area is larger. These are the same frequent comments. How to do it on the wall? It is easy on the tablet. But in reality, it is not so on a tablet, and it is easy. It is also not easy. On the wall it is much easier. You see what kind of hand swing? Time, but on the tablet there is no such thing. There is 50 centimeters by 60 centimeters and you cannot swing it. Your goal is to achieve such a transition of shades, light dark. When you apply the material of Caravaggio, it has the effect of velvet, and in fact, how it turns out. You leave the velvet up, you have the coverlet on the sofa, a dark strip was drawn to the right, a light strip was drawn to the left. Here is the same meaning. You drive to the right, it's dark, you see how? Time. This is what you need, the light and dark parts of the plano intersect. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and like, and notifications will not bother you either.